This podcast is part of the Global Sports Podcast Network, the only network bringing you exclusive daily news and views on your Premier League team, the Premier League, women's football, and fantasy football. A unique listening experience that puts fans first, bringing you the very latest breaking news from your team. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and make us your first listen every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network. Every club, every day.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello, and welcome to the latest edition of the Daily English Premier League, a podcast provided to you by Global Sports Podcast Network. My name is Michał Czarniecki. So glad to have you with us, coming to you live, pre-recorded, but live. From my perspective, at least, from California, and Victor joining me from Chicago, Illinois. Hi, Victor. How you doing?
Hey, Michael. How's it going, brother?
Pretty good. Yeah, it's going pretty well.
We had an amazing day today in Chicago.
And why is that?
Sunny, 45 degrees. That's perfect for us. Or that would be like 10 Celsius.
45 degrees? Is it Celsius or Fahrenheit?
No, Fahrenheit. No, 45 is too much. It's Celsius.
Yeah, with Celsius, I would just be sending condolences for people just dying of the overheating. Yeah, we really do not want that. Yeah. But I guess there is one other group of fans which could get some injury, mental injury sustained after the games of Champions League, and that would be Atletico Madrid. Yes, we normally focus on English teams, but we cannot start on with anything else because that is going to hit the headlines, Victor. That is actually the very first time that I have seen a penalty cancelled because of the double kick. Like it is that kind of a rule that you do not really know about until it actually affects your team, and all of a sudden you just want to start throwing things around.
It feels like Atletico Madrid fans are already used to like losing this way, like painful to Real Madrid, and it felt like that penalty was. It felt like Florentino Perez was on the phone with VAR. So they're like, this has to be ruled out. There's a little bit that they saw and then it was called off. It's just pathetic, to be honest with you. It's really sad if you're an Atletico Madrid fan.
Yeah, but then again, I kind of, VAR does not react on such like small infringements, and unless the referee hadn't seen it. On the pitch live, and he didn't make the right call. So then the VAR talks to his ear, being like, "Hey man, you have to check it." And of course, the irony: who was the referee team? The team of referees for that game came, of course, from Poland. Szymon Marciniak, who is still one of the best referees in the world right now.
Rumor has it he's a Real Madrid fan.
Ooh, you heard it here, folks. You heard it here. Somebody dug out that old footage from some Polish Ekstraklasa game.
There were some pictures I saw from the past how he has like a little pouch, Real Madrid pouch. So.
Yeah, that was like that archive footage from Polish Ekstraklasa when he was refereeing there. Like he did not expect any Real Madrid there in Warsaw and Białystok, so why would he care? Yeah, but all seriousness now, if there was a touch, I did not see it really. Like, I saw that replay 5 times at least, and I just couldn't see that smudge of that left foot.
They cannot confirm it with 100% certainty because here's how it works. The difference this time was the ball did not have any chips, so you cannot make a call based on what the ball touched the second time. What they were doing was the VAR, they were checking the points using the semi-automated offside rule. So that's how they figured out that there was maybe a little touch, but they cannot say for 100% it was. But it's a big game. You don't have that much time to just analyze everything. So I guess it was just the main referees, the Polish referee decision to make. Yeah, and he was pretty quick with it, which is shocking to me in a game of that caliber to just call it off right away. So.
Yeah. That is a little bit unheard of, and everyone was confused. Especially I saw Kylian Mbappe fighting for this match ball with someone from Atletico side because people were getting nervous. And after that decision, everyone was just confused. And then
all
of a sudden,
as soon as possible.
Oh my God. Well, but maybe enough about that, because unfortunately we're not talking about Spanish teams. We're talking about the English sides participating in Champions League. And this talk won't be super complicated, because about those upcoming two sides which we're going to talk about, there was pretty much certainty that both English sides would go through. Let's start with Arsenal PSV Eindhoven. First leg finished in the Netherlands with Arsenal whooping the PSV side with 7-1. So I really wasn't surprised that Mikel Arteta just threw the second suit on the second leg at the Emirates.
Yeah, I mean, I'm even surprised that he even let Raya or Gabriel. Definitely, Ben White needed the minutes, so he got some playing time. Kivior, you want to have him just in case someone get injured to get some playing time as well. Lewis Kelly, still young kid, you want to give him the minutes.
Sure.
Zinchenko, interesting to have him back in the team, even scoring, and then you have some experience in Jorginho and Rice, and then obviously Sterling, who apparently was man of the match. So. Yeah, it's pretty much, it wasn't any complications in his game. When you win 7-1 away and you come back to play at home the second leg, it's pretty much over. So nothing really special in that game.
Yeah, nothing really special. Like, the only thing that we can actually somehow look at are the stats of the man of the match, who was, like you said, Raheem Sterling. He was pretty active on the right wing. He had just, two dribble attempts. Out of those two, one was successful, and two big chances which were missed by Raheem Sterling. I think we can just go back to the same question. Okay, I do not think it's actually fair taking this game as a template on which you could start building the discussion of why on earth Arsenal does not have proper forwards who could put the ball into the back of the net. What's your take on this? Like, should we continue with this conversation, or should we just skip it?
I mean, the number 9 is the biggest topic for Arsenal, I would say. If they want to make that last step in the Premier League, they need a number 9. They can win them games on his own. And that's something they've been lacking for years. I don't think Havertz is the number 9 if like the caliber of like Van Nistelrooy was. So you're going to have to find someone that's going to be quality, that they can win you the games on his own. And that's what they're lacking.
Yep.
But it's the Champions League. It's a knockout stage. You never know. Maybe they'll get to the final. Who knows?
And
now they're playing Madrid.
Yes, on the way to the final is what I wanted to say is on the 8th of April, Arsenal will take on Real Madrid at the Emirates. That's the first leg. How important is it for the Gunners to have that first game played against Real Madrid at home?
Well, you know how it is in knockout phase. You want to play the second game at home. So it's obviously advantage for Real Madrid, a little advantage here. But again, hopefully Madrid's going to run out of luck eventually.
Yeah, because I think everyone is just sick and tired of calling Real Madrid, of calling this the Real Madrid side, the Mr. Champions League, right?
Madrid is very inconsistent this year, but the same is with Arsenal. So this is going to be an interesting game to watch for sure.
Yeah, and totally, like, whoever will be analyzing Arsenal somewhere in Spain, they cannot under any circumstances take this game of PSV under the microscope, because it's just no use. Like, there's no way Arsenal will be playing like that against Real Madrid. We will see a completely another different side, maybe except for Raya, Lewis Kelly, Rice, and maybe possibly Zinchenko, because that's another thing that I wanted to ask you about, that the Ukrainian has made a pretty nice comeback to the first suit of Mikel Arteta's puzzle. Before he had some problems with injuries, and then it seemed as if he would just never get off the bench. And then all of a sudden you see Ukrainian getting more minutes, coming on for 30, 20 last minutes of the game or in Premier League. Or, for example, here having, I don't know how many minutes, but he was subbed off Zinchenko.
Yeah, he played
79 minutes. 80 minutes today in London. So is there a chance for a comeback to the starting lineup for Zinchenko?
I don't think so. I feel like Arteta lost, not respect, but he's lost his confidence with Zinchenko, because he did some mistakes in the past, and I feel like Arteta looks at Zinchenko as a liability, so he needs to find someone that's going to be consistent and is not going to make the mistakes. Even though Zinchenko came from Man City, so you already have like championships under your belt. You should be the one that's going to lead this Arsenal team to a certain point, and he's just not delivering. So I cannot see Zinchenko going back into the starting lineup anytime soon.
Yeah, that's pretty fair. Like, not to mention Jakub Kiwior. I mean, if Jakub Kiwior receives a call up to the Polish national team after this, then I will know that officially our coach has lost it. Okay. This is not the time to air dirty laundry about the Polish national team. Let's move on to Aston Villa taking on Club Bruges. Here, basically the same story, exactly with like what happened with Arsenal. Aston Villa with a comfortable 3-1 victory away in Birmingham, and of course here, I guess the difference between what happened in London and what happened in Birmingham was that we actually saw a brilliant display from an English side, and a Spaniard delivered that beautiful performance. Marco Asensio is his name, and
coming off the bench, he's having an amazing, start to his Aston Villa career. I think he has like 6 goals already so far, and he's been with the team for like 2 months. Not even 2 months. It's a big time player. But when you're someone like Asensio, who has so much experience, of won the Champions League, won the Spanish League a lot of times, and when you come to a team like Aston Villa, who is playing Champions League but hasn't won it in like 40, 50 years, and these guys don't have too many titles, then you should be the one to lead that team coming into it as someone who's an experienced player. So, and that's actually what he's doing right now. So. This game was pretty much done after 15 minutes. Once Club Bruges got the red card in the 15th minute, game is over. You're already 2 down, and then you play away. I'm not even surprised that the coach decided to just take out Watkins at halftime and even Kamara. So, not too much to be said about this game. This game was done in the very first 15 minutes of the game. So
of course. But then again, I also would like to underline that beautiful connection which was created under Unai Emery, and there's just another accolade that could be added into towards Unai Emery's column, and that is the link up between Rashford and Asensio. That is now one of the best things that could have ever happened to Aston Villa at this stage of the season, because that link up with Ollie Watkins, especially in this game, having had to come off because of his injury, that link up is super crucial to keep that offensive momentum going for Aston Villa. Isn't that right?
Yeah. No, they have all kinds of different players in that offensive line. So you have Watkins and Rashford, who are very fast. You have McGinn, who's very strong. Same with Rodgers. It's really hard to take the ball away from them. And then you throw in Asensio in there as well. Bailey's also fast. This Aston Villa is, I think, very dangerous. And selling Duran was the right decision for sure in getting that much money out of that player. Now you can build on that, and that's what we're seeing actually in that Aston Villa team. So
absolutely,
I'm excited. I'm not even. Obviously, we know that Aston Villa now goes to PSG, and
that's another caveat as far as Marco Asensio is concerned.
Yeah, I who knows? Maybe Aston Villa will take some miracle to take out PSG at this point, especially after beating Liverpool like that. But who knows?
Yeah, I mean, the PSG team, they completely, they disabled all of those important aspects of Arne Slot's side. Like, the reason why Liverpool just could not extend their wings to their fullest capacity was because of how Luis Enrique put those players in a nice and thoughtful lineup. That lineup was one of the reasons why PSG came out victorious against the Liverpool side, which is dominating in the Premier League. And that league is not, we're not talking about the Czech, Slovak, or Polish league. We're talking about the Premier League, one of the best leagues in the world, where you really have to be competitive and you have to be creative. And if you manage to stifle such an offensive side, just the way PSG did, then I really cannot see how Aston Villa could go past PSG. But then again, it's football. Who else? Anything can happen, really.
PSG is very dangerous now, and I'll tell you why. going into that Liverpool game to play at home and show no respect to arguably the best team in the world right now, which I think we can agree Liverpool is or was before losing to PSG. You go into that game with no respect. You lose the game 1-0, but you outplayed them completely. And then you're mentally broken. You go away to Anfield and you manage to win that game in 120 minutes and to win on penalties on their stadium. Now that puts you have the confidence to go all the way. And I can see PSG going to the final, to be honest with you.
Me too. Yeah. And just talking briefly about the bracket, because we have to move on to other European games because we have to preview them. So Arsenal playing Real Madrid and Paris Saint-Germain playing Aston Villa. And whoever comes out victorious out of those two ties, they will meet each other in the semi-final at the end of April. Right now, I guess the bets say that Real Madrid is the favorite to take on Paris Saint-Germain in the semi-final. But let's just not write anyone off at this point. Although, like you said, Paris Saint-Germain, they are the favorites to go to the final. And on the other side of the bracket, Barcelona will take on Borussia Dortmund. Borussia Dortmund, which actually struggled to go past Lille, the French side, but when it was all said and done, they went through. And Bayern Munich will take on Internazionale Milano. So so out of all those teams, who do you see lifting the trophy in May?
I think it's gonna be Barcelona against PSG, and Barcelona will beat PSG. Even though that will be a crazy final to watch because you have Luis Enrique, the coach of PSG, playing against his Barcelona. So, but everything is open. I'm not ruling out any team out of this 8, not even one. Like I even give chance to Aston Villa to surprise PSG, and we just spoke of how strong I think PSG is. Yeah, it's a knockout. You never know what's going to happen, and that's the beauty of it.
Exactly, and also I read this opinion somewhere that this quarterfinal setup has to be one of the strongest setups in the quarterfinals in Champions League history, or at least recent history. I really do not remember quarterfinals being this strong in any other season.
I agree. This looks strong. Every year there was at least one team that would surprise everyone, get to the quarterfinals or at least the last 16, and this bracket is just insanely good.
The Monacos, the Portos.
Yeah.
Well, Porto ended up winning the entire thing in Gelsenkirchen.
But Porto had a sick team.
Oh, yeah, they were a sick team. But guys, if you have any problems, of course, talking about being sick, then I guess we can recommend some good supplements. And this is where Bioniq comes to play, our awesome sponsor. Take it away.
Your body is unique. And Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalised supplements. Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bioniq. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now.
Thank you, Bioniq, for sponsoring our podcast. You are listening or watching, depending on which platform you're seeing or hearing this, to the Daily English Premier League podcast brought to you by Global Sports Podcasting Network. So we have now come from reviewing what already happened to what is about to happen today as Europa and Conference League goes back for the reverse ties. And that is going to be interesting for so many reasons. And we will start with the Europa League and 2 English sides there. Manchester United, which will take on Real Sociedad. That is going to be a treat of perhaps complaining or maybe a treat of some, naive hope. For anyone, from anyone who will actually be listening to our podcast, as there are 2 Man United fans here. And what are your thoughts about how this second leg will go, especially considering how the first leg transpired in Spain?
I don't care how, United needs to win this game. This is literally everything that's left to play in this season for Man United. So if they fail this, then the rest of the season is just the players would be fighting for who's going to be able to stay there. So they're fighting for their jobs at United if they fail to win this game. So I think it's going to be a tough game, and United will find a way to go through, but it's going to be hard. I would not be surprised if this game goes to overtime. It's going to be another tie and goes to overtime, and either it's going to go to PKs or someone's going to get super tired and concede. And yeah,
that could really happen, especially going back to how the first leg looked back in the Real Sociedad Stadium, up until the penalty conceded after like a very soft handball by Bruno Fernandes, but still that is a handball in nowadays football. Ever since that moment, Real Sociedad managed to basically squeeze the Man United to deep defense. And we all know, and all Man United fans know, that once that happens, a goal is practically imminent. And the fact that it didn't get in, that I guess we can just pay tribute to a credible slice of good fortune and some Andre Onana good acrobatic saves, really. But what those first 70 minutes of that game in Spain showed is that Man United are capable of pressing, of being creative or creating chances. Well, too bad that Bruno Fernandes has to be involved in any phase of the attack, otherwise the attack breaks down. But you know what I mean, Victor, right?
Yeah. No, I agree. But again, this game is everything for those players. They need. I hope they get good sleep and they're fully in it mentally, and hopefully with the crowd behind them, we can find a way to win this one and get to the quarterfinals, which will be a game probably against Lyon, which is another French team. So,
yeah,
not a fan of English teams playing French teams or Spanish teams. For some reason, United always struggles with Spanish teams.
For some reason, I always have that Europa League final Gdańsk in mind when I was volunteering, by the way. Man United Villarreal. Oh my God, that last De Gea penalty. Oh, that still hurts. That still hurts, really. But okay, like that's the past. And just one last question about this particular tie, because I think we've said it all, really. If there was one player from Real Sociedad side that you would instruct Ruben Amorim's side to have under constant supervision throughout the game, or like for them to have some double cover, or for them to keep them quiet, which play would it be?
I would say Zubimendi. He controls the game for Sociedad, so you have to be tighter on him and don't let him dictate the game. And again, we're at home this time, so we want to be the one to control the game, and you cannot just give him too much space. But again, Sociedad has a lot of players that are dangerous. It's not just him. So as long as United is mentally focused and they're in the game, they're going to be fine.
Well, let's hope for the best, and to all of those players. Remember, please keep in mind what Victor said there. It's going to be your butts on the line, because this is exactly what's going to happen if
you're fighting for your jobs. Yeah.
Yes, you're fighting for your jobs. You have to fight as if your job's dependent on it, because they do. That's a classic from any other drama about corporate.
Well, these players know it's not going to be Amorim that's going to take the fall. It's their job to lose. So Amorim is staying for sure. He was brought to kind of clean up a lot of this mess that we have, and then bring his own players. So these guys that we have right now, they're fighting for their jobs. So whoever's going to show in the next few months he's worth to stay, they're going to stay. Eventually, if you get a lot of money, if you're getting a lot of money, we won't be able to sell you, but we can probably loan you out.
Yeah, and, or we can just move you to the second or third team, because well, those first or second tier clubs, they are capable of, let's just say, bullying a player out into either them leaving on their own or just finishing their career on the sidelines for good. Yeah, that is the brutal side of football. And speaking about the brutal side of football, you could say a lot of things about how brutal football is, but you know what? At the end of the day, please say it to Bergvall, a person, the own goal of whom, for now, decides the tie between Tottenham Hotspur and AZ Alkmaar. That's going to be a second Europa League game that we're going to talk about. And Bergvall, he's got a lot of pressure on his shoulders because Tottenham has to deliver.
Yeah. Well, the good news about Tottenham is they're having a lot of their players that were injured, big players, coming back into the lineup. So you have the center back duo Van de Ven and Romero. So that's a big boost for Tottenham in the next few months. And I think they'll find a way tomorrow. I mean, today to get it done. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I hope they lose because I'm pretty sure Tottenham is one of the main, I would say, opponents for Man United. There will be potentially they will play against us in the final because they're on the opposite side of the bracket, so we can definitely play in the final against them. So,
yep.
Fingers crossed they lose.
But I gotta tell you, that is still a very long way until the eventual final in Bilbao. I mean, there are still so many teams which are still up in contention for the trophy. I mean, it's Roma, which is still in contention, which they won their first leg against Athletic Bilbao with 2-1. There is still Lazio, which is in pretty good form. Eintracht Frankfurt, of course, like we know their story with the Europa League, how it was super beneficial to them. So there are still some sides which could blindside either Man United or Tottenham on the way to the final. So I really wouldn't predict any of those English sides reaching the final, especially Man United with such a shape. But we'll see.
That's another thing. Sociedad and Bilbao are motivated extra because the final will be played in kind of like their area. So if they get to that point, it's going to be like a home advantage for them pretty much.
Pretty much.
San Mamés is Bilbao stadium, but still, even Sociedad is going to be motivated.
Yeah, and just one last thing about the AZ Alkmaar Tottenham tie before we move on to the last game that we want to preview here in today's episode. We're talking about that Tottenham side. How do you like the performances of Heung-min Son so far?
I mean, you can tell age is catching up. And that's why he cannot play every game. But when it comes to like big games, he needs to deliver. He's still the captain. He's still the player that the stadium comes to watch and loves more than anyone. So, I mean, I expect a big game for him tomorrow. And he scored over the weekend, so he's definitely in form, I would say. And hopefully he'll pick it up even more from here. But, yeah.
And with the presence of...
The tough part is for... this game is there are no away goals, obviously. So any win for Tottenham, knowing that even if they concede, if they score 2, it's going to go to overtime. They're not going to be out of the cup, out of the Europa League. So that's another thing it puts less pressure on them.
Yeah, and that is just that will certainly act as an advantage for the Tottenham side. And then just one last question before we move on. With Heung-min Son, like you said, that age is catching up to him, but is still an important part of the Ange Postecoglou's puzzle there. But for some reason, last week, Tottenham was totally inept to score in the Netherlands against AZ Alkmaar. Is Son the only cure to the drought?
No, they need to get Tell on the score sheet. The new signings from Bayern. He needs to start scoring goals. They have a lot of quality players. It's just they can never deliver, And Madison is another one that's like there's no consistency. And people laugh at me when I say Roy Keane when he called him out, saying how he can't score, and then he scored against United, and the next game he's on the bench against Ipswich. So that shows you something is off. It's not like he wasn't fit to play. Something is going on at practice that Ange Postecoglou sees, and he's like, I don't like that behavior. You just scored a big game, and then you're coming back to practice not giving 100%, and you're going to be on the bench. So I think it comes down to discipline. That's what I think it is when it comes to Tottenham. And it's not an issue that just happened this year. It's been forever like this, since I remember.
Well, yeah, that is the curse of Tottenham not only being able to be consistent, but also not being able to put anything in the trophy cabinet. I'm sure that Tottenham fans listening or watching this podcast right now, they are sick to death hearing about the same joke over and over again. So, yeah, Victor, you said it yourself. You do not wish him a lot of luck. I will, because the longer an English side stays in the competition, the more episodes previewing or reviewing the European nights we'll have here at GSPN. And speaking about our podcast, it's time to hear about our another sponsor, which is Zencastr, a platform for performing some wonderful and to have some wonderful podcasts. So, Louis, take it away.
Here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform. Zencastr came out as the clear winner, with 4K video recording from your phone, AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs. It's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the description to learn more about Zencastr.
Thank you, Zencastr, for being able to provide us with a platform on which we could make our podcast. Thank you so much, Zencastr, again. And just like that, we have come to the last part of our preview episode, if you will, which is the last European competition under the auspices of UEFA, which is the Conference League, the one that of course, selfishly, I'm super interested in because of two Polish sides there. But we're not going to talk about that. No. We cannot fall into the same foxhole. Otherwise, we're just going to have another awesome discussion about how great Jagiellonia and Legia are. So let's just focus on that one game of Chelsea taking on Copenhagen and in the round of 16 of Conference League, the return leg at Stamford Bridge. That should be a treat for Chelsea fans, as they are on the way to see their team score an 8th consecutive victory in European Cups, which is pretty impressive. Of course, somebody could say that Chelsea is such a team that Conference League is really below them, that they are at least European, Europa League caliber, not Conference League caliber. But still, you have to get to the final in Wrocław. And just looking at that first leg, looking at how Chelsea dominated the Copenhagen side in Denmark, how do you see this? The chances of Copenhagen of turning it around?
Not too good, and I feel like this competition is Chelsea's to lose. So, no matter what lineup they come up with against these smaller teams, then you would expect to win. So once they get closer to, let's say, like the semifinal or the final, then you play your best team. You don't do any calculations there, and you're expected to win this competition. So I think that's what's going to happen. This game, like last game, it's going to be mixed of first team, second team, and then again in the quarterfinal, then Chelsea obviously will potentially play Legia, and hopefully that's the case.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, and even against Legia, you can still combine, calculate, because again, still Chelsea has the Premier League to focus on and get to that Champions League place for next year. And winning this competition is not getting you that, so you need to get to the top 4, top 5 eventually.
Of course.
Yeah,
of course. And with just looking at the lineup of Chelsea from last week, where Reece James turned out to be the player of the match based on one of the websites which follow all of the football matches out there in the world. Reece James with a score of 7.7. Of course, him having scored a goal, which was pretty important. But then again, I just want to say something about those maybe not big problems of Chelsea in the European competitions, because they don't have none as of right now. But what is happening with Enzo Maresca's side in terms of attack? Because looking only at the statistics of the first half, right? The first half ended in a goalless draw. The expected goals of Chelsea from that game was 0.08. Which was worse by this 0.01 than Copenhagen's. And that goes to show that if you have a solid defense and you play pretty solid football in the back, you can actually bring it to Chelsea. And it's not that Chelsea does not have any flaws. Of course they do. Just look at the Premier League. Maybe you could elaborate on that, Victor.
Chelsea is not a team in form. That's number one. And I think that's why Maresca even gave Palmer minutes in this game, hoping that he will find his form, which he didn't. So now I'm surprised. I want to see what kind of lineup they're gonna come up with today in the second leg. So that's something to look forward to. But yeah, Chelsea needs to pick up their form if they wanna win this competition.
Yes, and to be honest, and of course, like we, maybe I can just take a look at what's gonna happen right after this game of Chelsea Copenhagen, because right after that
Arsenal.
They play Arsenal, and this is something that I want to ask you about. That, of course, they could somehow suspect that this round of 16 tie is over. Of course, there is this 1 goal difference, but with even the second suit of Chelsea, they still have a pretty big chance of going through to the quarterfinals, either against Molde or Legia Warsaw. But then again, they have this rivalry with Arsenal in the Premier League. Do you think that the Chelsea coach Enzo Maresca will calculate? Maybe we will see some players which
100%.
wouldn't play normally.
Yeah, 100%. I could tell right away it's going to be combined team, something similar to what it was last week. I think this game Palmer is going to get a rest because he wants him obviously to be extra fit for the Arsenal game. That's the bigger game for them this week. And yeah, but Chelsea shouldn't have any problems with Copenhagen. And they'll still have the main players on the bench. So if they need it to get in, they'll do that in the second half. So
sure. Okay, so we have probably come to the end of previewing that game, because this is basically pretty much what all we can say about it, which have some merit. Well, I guess the last thing that we can finish it off with is how the lineups of this round of 16 look, and how the potential quarterfinals could look, and who could actually clinch the title if not Chelsea. Of course, this is this is something that we need to let's just say assume that Chelsea does not go to the end. So who else could win this competition?
Chelsea will get to the final, and their bracket side is pretty much set. I can't see any of the other 6 teams beating Chelsea. But on the other side, you have some dangerous teams. Betis, you have Fiorentina, you have even, Panathinaikos, which is surprising. And then, I wouldn't say Jagiellonia, but I'll mention it because, again, it's still an impressive 3-0 win. So they're going to be in the quarterfinals. And again, it's a knockout. You never know. But I feel like Real Betis going to get to the final, even though they have to win in Portugal now against Vitória de Guimarães. So that's going to be a big game. I would say that's the derby in this competition today, because you have Spanish against Portuguese team, and those are always fire. So.
Yeah, but then again, you know what? I do not think that I can agree with you 100% about Jagiellonia not being one of the contenders, and let me just tell you why. We're talking about one of the best, the best striker in Conference League right now, which is Afemi Kopululu from Jagiellonia. He scored a brace against Celso Bruges. So, to be honest, with Jagiellonia, especially the way how Adrian Siemieniec, the coach of Jagiellonia, how he puts all of those players together, with Afemi Kopululu being on up the front, with Churlinov, by the way, on his left hand side.
We are on the same team, my friend. We are Team Jagiellonia.
Yeah, I know, but
indirectly, I want to jinx it by saying they don't have a chance, so they prove me wrong.
Okay.
It works for me the last few years. So
Okay. So I will not try to convince you, but if there are any viewers and listeners out there who think that Jagiellonia might not be that big of a contender, just seriously speaking, the way how Adrian Siemieniec has put this team together, like they are the reigning Polish champions, I think that they could put up a fight against Real Betis. And do you remember the very first match day of Conference League when Real Betis went to Warsaw? They lost that game against Legia Warsaw, and some would say, because Real Betis was playing in the with the second suit, Legia gave it all, and they wanted to start off another European campaign with a bang. Yes, granted, but Polish football has made some good good improvements as far as style goes. And I do not think I can say it about Legia, but as far as Jagiellonia goes, they could be a threat which is underestimated. And I'll just kind of allude to what you just said there, and I'll just say that yes, it's good that you underestimate them, because then they could go all the way to Wrocław. Who knows? And as far as Chelsea's side of the bracket, yeah, I think I have to agree with you there. That as much love and as much appreciation as I can have to the Legia team, they will be no match for Chelsea. I'm sorry, but that's just how it's going to be. And just like that, again, this is what happens when you have a Polish host on GSPN podcast talking about English Premier League. All of a sudden, one way or another, we will start talking about Polish football. So that is just the curse. But if you guys enjoy it, then I'll be more than happy to provide more of this curse. Is there anything else, Victor, that you'd like to add ahead of today's action?
No, not really.
Not really
excited.
about any of the matches.
I'm just excited for Man United game. I want to see something different today, and
this is exactly what we will hope to see at Old Trafford, right?
Yeah, I don't want to say anything else, because whatever else I say, I might jinx it.
And with that being said, Victor, thank you so much for joining me here today, and to all of you guys listening and viewing out there, subscribe. Give us a like. Please be with us, because the more you guys are out there, the more excited we are to make some more content for you. And jump in tomorrow, because tomorrow we will be reviewing all of the action from today, me and Michael Thompson. So join us there. And until then, Michał Czarniecki from California and Viktor Plevnes from Chicago, Illinois. I hope I pronounced your surname correct.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Amazing. Thank you, man. Cheers.
Thank you, Michał.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.